Hi, everybody. My name is Marc Prensky. I am thrilled to be your keynote speaker to talk about empowering the humans of the future. I am absolutely thrilled to be part of this, to pioneer new solutions. And these solutions, in my view, need to be not just for our existing issues like education, but beyond them, to the needs and issues that will come up in the 21st century. And everybody who is an adult today, who is over the age of 20, was born in the 20th century and had our beliefs formed in that 20th century. I call us the world's last pre-internet generation. Our beliefs were formed at a different time. The young people, of course, are the world's first internet generation. And they are in many ways a big experiment because nobody knows exactly how to behave when we're all nodes on a network. Now, there are two things that have changed dramatically and that are changing dramatically in the world that are most important. The first is technology. Technology is changing rapidly and enormously and exponentially, and sometimes we don't even see how much it has changed. If I or anybody from the West moved to China, particularly outside of a big city, I would have problems in terms of communicating, in terms of reading, in terms of writing, in terms of arithmetic. So I would have to study and be educated for years and years in order to function effectively. Today, in the 21st century, if you or I or somebody else changed countries like that, and we had with us a cell phone, a modern cell phone, we would not have as much of a problem and wouldn't need that same education, because that device that we have with us will read for us, will write for us, will translate for us, will allow us to have simultaneous conversations, and much more, while still participating in the world back home. So this is an enormous shift in capabilities that the technology has brought us. The second thing that many more people don't realize is that beliefs are changing. They're changing between the last pre-internet generation and the first internet generation in really radical ways with regards to technology and privacy and property and personal relationships and sexuality and security and power and work and empathy and kids and God and religion and money and love and violence and justice and government and even time and space. So we have technology plus beliefs. And why is that important for our young people? It's important because one of the great beliefs of the 20th century adults is that young people can't do much. They have no power. We have to keep them in school and educate them for years and years and years so that they can have enough power to accomplish useful things in the world. Well, those beliefs are changing, and kids are starting to understand that they have power. The best way to empower those humans is to have them do real world improving projects with measurable positive impact on their world. And that's something we couldn't do before, but is coming. Human needs for the future are changing dramatically, and we are moving from a need for education as we traditionally saw it, which was giving kids the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, and then the fundamentals of math and language and science and social studies. That is changing. That is the old thing called education, which is a 20th century artifact, was very important in the 20th century, was so enormously important in the 20th century in helping us that we're all trying to bring it to the world that doesn't have it. But at the same time, we have new needs. And now, I think in order to get those needs, we're going to have to move to something called post-education. Because education, as we knew it in the 20th century, just does not meet those needs. What are those needs? Well, the first need is for power. The first need is empowerment. We need to help our young people understand how powerful they now are, how to use that power in positive ways. They don't understand it yet. They're still trying to do things that we did in the 20th century, such as Greta Thunberg protesting outside the Stockholm Parliament. They have much more power that they can use. Second piece is accomplishment. So not only do they have the power, but they can use that power to get positive things done. And that's what's so important, that we no longer have kids who are just studying in school and will come out with grades. We have kids who are building a resume of positive, real world accomplishments. And again, that's something that traditional education has not focused on. The third thing, uniqueness. In the 20th century, we actually wanted people to be more or less the same. We wanted them to have the same set of skills, the same set of capabilities of reading and writing and arithmetic as everybody else. We would rank them according to how well they got these. But that's not really who humans are. Humans have two sides. One side is we're very much like everyone else. We're all sapiens, we're all humans. But the other side is that every single one of us is unique. And not just in how we look, but more important in what we care about, in what we're good at, and in what we love to do. And we need to help young people in the future figure out that uniqueness much earlier and much more easily so that they can apply it to accomplishing positive things in the world with the new power that they have. And the fourth need is symbiosis. Symbiosis means that we are becoming different people. In the 20th century and before, many thought of humans as the greatest thing that nature had invented, and that we were particularly good and unique because we could make tools and use them. And we did, and we accomplished wonderful things with those tools. I think that in the 21st century, it's no longer going to be a question of humans with tools, but it's going to be a question of symbiosis with those tools. And a great example that Ray Kurzweil cites is that today with a cell phone, any kid walking down the street can access all of human knowledge. What's happening when we try to take the cell phones away from many kids who resist so violently is not that they are becoming addicted to the cell phones, I don't think. I think they're becoming symbiotic with this technology. And that taking it away from them is not bringing them back to being more human, but in fact, it's cutting off a piece of their body. That's where we're moving to. And I think it's not just the technology, it's also with teams, it's also people. So we are all going to be symbiotic in the future. And the quicker we help our kids get there, the better off they and we will be. So these four things of empowerment, accomplishment, uniqueness, and symbiosis are really the basis for what I call a post-education experience and growing up for kids. Now, let's bring this back to what we're talking about today, to 3D printing buildings. While in the short term, this is enormously useful for spreading the old education, the 20th century education in the world, and will be very helpful to Madagascar and other places. The real power of this is in the long run, because this is a wonderful early example of how this helps post-education, how it helps empowerment, how it helps accomplishment, how it helps uniqueness and symbiosis. Think about it. 3D printing a building is a huge amount of power, and young people can now do this once this technology develops. First, because The design part is done in software, which young people can learn how to use at early age. So they have the power to design. But then as you add the printing, they have the power to create these buildings. And that leads to the buildings actually existing, which is a real world accomplishment. And kids will be able to see their ideas, which they certainly couldn't do before, come up and be beautiful, useful buildings in the real world. The uniqueness comes from the fact that the kids can design their own buildings, that this is not one size fits all. This is designed in software. So we can build these buildings, whether they become schools or hospitals or anything else, or homes, in a style that fits each unique place, each unique kid, each unique person. And finally, the symbiosis comes from the fact that kids will be able to do this. This will be a power of being human from a very early age. So a kid, even in kindergarten, they may not build a full school, but they will be able to 3D print a small building, get an idea of how to design it, and we will start to feel like this technology is a symbiotic part of us, just as the bacteria in our gut and on our skin is a symbiotic part of being human. Neither of us could survive without the other. So thank you very much. I am just so proud to be part of this because I see it as the very beginning. The first step is to build the huts and do these things and prove that the technology works, and I'm sure it does. But the next step is to go beyond. The next step is to scale this to the world. And when I say scale, I don't mean do the same thing over and over again everywhere. I mean empower every one of our 2 billion kids to do this in the long run. And that's really huge. To me, the great analogy is Jeff Bezos. Remember when he started Amazon? And what was he doing? He was selling books online. And that was the small thing that the need was for at the time. But look at how big it has gotten. This is such a tremendous idea. In the end, what we need is not changing the world, but improving it. And this is a technology and an idea and a plan and a company which can certainly do that. So Maggie and team and everybody, I salute you and I look forward to everything you will accomplish in the future.